All right, welcome back everyone to another explainer. So today we're tackling a daily ritual that literally impacts every single school, teacher, and student on the planet. I mean, if you've ever sat in a classroom, you definitely remember the classic roll call, right? The teacher calls a name, somebody else here, and well, that was pretty much the whole shebang. But today, we're diving into this massive systemic shift happening in education right now. We're looking at how modern student absence reporting is transforming from just a mundane daily chore into a really powerful tool for academic protection. It's wild to think about, but we're going to see how ditching those old paper logs can actually save a student's entire academic trajectory. Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for the explainer today. We'll start with the attendance challenge, then break down the anatomy of an absence report. After that, we'll look at the digital transformation, how to choose your tracking system, and finally, how Skolera specifically supports schools. So, kicking things off with Section 1, the attendance challenge, and the reality on the ground. Now, before we even talk about solutions, we've got to face the reality of what's happening out there. Research actually shows that teachers can lose up to 2 whole weeks of instructional time over a single school year. 2 weeks, just chasing down paper attendance records and verifying excuses. It's a massive administrative headache that just eats up valuable time that, frankly, could be spent actually teaching. So this brings us to a really crucial question for all you school administrators out there. Are you tracking attendance, or are you just counting empty desks? Really think about that for a second. Because if your system just tells you a student isn't in their seat, it's really nothing more than a head count. But true attendance tracking, the kind modern education absolutely demands, is actually a form of early academic intervention. It's all about spotting a negative trend way before it turns into a crisis. And when we reframe attendance like this, it instantly stops being just a punitive disciplinary metric and becomes this vital, life-saving pulse check on student well-being and engagement. And the contrast here brilliantly illustrates the massive upgrade we're talking about. I mean, with traditional methods, paper logs go missing all the time. Data discrepancies pop up because the homeroom teacher's clipboard doesn't match whatever the front office has on file. And honestly, the worst part? The reactions are delayed. A parent might not even find out their kid skipped first period until a whole week later. Now, compare that to modern tracking. We're talking real-time dashboards where everybody is looking at the exact same unified central record. Because the data is instant, the intervention can be instant. It's literally the difference between reading about a house fire in tomorrow's newspaper versus having a smoke detector alert you the absolute second it starts. Moving right along to Section 2, Anatomy of an Absence Report, and the data that matters. Let's grab our microscopic lens here and look at how every single individual data point feeds directly into the larger ecosystem of student success. First up, dates and duration. Now, this isn't just a basic tally. Its real educational value lies in finding recurring patterns, like does a specific student always miss Tuesday mornings? If so, why? Second, the reported reasons. This helps administrators quickly distinguish between excused and unexcused absences, which means they can deploy the right kind of support. Third, attendance history. This gives you that big picture macro view for assessing long-term commitment. And finally, notes and docs. Think of these like digital doctor's notes. They absolutely enhance the reliability of the entire record. So you see, every single piece of data here has a specific, highly actionable educational value. And here is the absolutely crucial point we need to hammer home. Accurate documentation helps institutions identify recurring issues early. We are entirely replacing that outdated, frankly exhausting idea of punitive discipline with a brand new standard of academic protection. By monitoring these processes closely, a school isn't playing a game of gotcha, trying to catch a student doing something wrong. No, they are trying to catch a student who might be quietly falling through the cracks, giving them a solid safety net long before their grades take a hit. All right, let's shift gears to Section 3, the digital transformation and seamless data flow. So let's look at a little micro-narrative of what a single absence journey looks like today. Step 1, the teacher logs the absence electronically, right there in the classroom. No more sending a kid down to the front office with a paper slip. Step 2, in literally a fraction of a second, the central database updates in real time. Step 3, an automated alert zips straight to the parents' phones. They know exactly what's happening, exactly when it's happening. And Step 4, the administrator reviews the broader analytics to see if maybe an intervention is needed. This entire pipeline, from a teacher's single click all the way to a parent getting notified, it happens so seamlessly and instantly. It completely 100% eliminates all that administrative drag. And to make that super smooth pipeline work, modern schools are integrating this incredibly diverse slice of technologies. You've got electronic verification. Some schools are even using smart cards or QR codes so students can just scan themselves right in. That data then feeds directly into the central databases, which of course trigger those automated alerts, which finally generate the raw data for the analytics tools. It is this beautiful, interconnected tech ecosystem built specifically to systematically track attendance and tie it directly to student behavior and academic performance. Which brings us to Section 4, choosing your tracking system and system evaluation. Now, if you're an IT director or a principal tuning into this explainer, I know evaluating these tools can feel pretty daunting. But here are the critical selection factors you really need to zero in on. First is flexibility. Your system has got to work just as well for a chaotic kindergarten class as it does for high school seniors. Second, customizable reports, because let's face it, your internal school policies are completely unique to you. Third, fast data retrieval, because nobody has the patience for a laggy system. Fourth, and honestly, I cannot stress this one enough, clear user interfaces for the teachers. This whole thing is about saving them time. If it's just going to be another complicated tech tool to learn, teachers simply aren't going to embrace it. And finally, you need seamless integration with your existing class schedules and legacy systems. But wait, what about security, right? Well, that brings us to secure electronic archiving, and we need to be crystal clear on this point to alleviate any concerns. Modern systems, they don't just dump files into a random digital folder. We're talking about highly protected digital vaults with strict, restricted access controls. They are built from the ground up to guarantee absolute confidentiality. So these aren't just virtual filing cabinets, they are literally fortified digital vaults that lock down student privacy while keeping all those historical records perfectly intact for the administrators. And that leads us into our final stretch, Section 5, how Skolera supports schools with functional software. You know, it's one thing for us to sit here and talk about all these concepts in theory, but it's way more helpful to examine how one specific platform actually puts all this into practice for data-driven schools. Skolera basically acts as the ultimate optimizer for smarter school operations, offering exactly the features we've been geeking out over. It gives you essential, real-time dashboard. It enables that electronic classroom logging we talked about, which actively cuts down on those annoying manual human errors. It automates those instant parent notifications, generates really detailed pattern analysis reports to help catch at-risk kids, and it wraps the whole shebang up in secure electronic archiving. It essentially takes this grand theory of academic protection and turns it into functional everyday software. And I think this quote right here from our source material just perfectly summarizes our entire journey today. Digital systems have become an essential component in the development of attendance and absence tracking mechanisms. Notice that word right there, essential. It definitely doesn't say optional component or luxury add-on. For literally any educational institution out there that wants to be truly data-driven and genuinely support its students, this digital transformation in attendance tracking, it's not a nice-to-have anymore, it is a fundamental necessity. Which leaves us with this final, kind of provocative thought to chew on as we wrap up. Is your attendance data working as hard as your teachers? I mean, your educators are in those classrooms every single day, giving it absolutely everything they've got, desperately trying to figure out which students need help. But if your attendance system is stuck in the past, just counting empty desks and pushing paper, it's honestly letting those teachers down. It's time to make your data work for you, to turn that raw attendance into real action, and start protecting academic performance from the very first bell. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep analyzing, and I'll catch you next time.